So if rhythm and melody are more of the measure of the horizontal aspect, that is, music through time horizontally, harmony is more of the vertical measurement of specifically chords. Chords are vertical pitch groupings that are then arranged horizontally into loops. So if you take multiple pitches together, that sound simultaneously vertically, that forms a chord. And then if you take multiple chords and form them into a loop, then that forms the basis for harmony. Like so. So now we should talk about 4-chord songs. So those 4 chords that I just played make up the vast majority of songs' chord loops in some order. So first you have the 1 chord, the 4 chord, 5 chord, and then the 6 minor chord. That little minus isn't a typo, it means it's minor. And those 4 chords can make up the majority of chord progressions. And those 4 chords, as well as others, can make up chord loops. In popular music, most songs are made to loop their chords within a given section. So for example, you can just keep on looping the same chords. And of course, it wouldn't be that fast usually, but I'm just demonstrating. So harmonic rhythm is a measure of the rate of chord change, and also how many chords fit into a particular loop before it starts over. Do you hear 4 chords in the loop, like you just heard me play? Or maybe 3, which means one of the chords is going to be double length, twice as long? Or just a shuttle between 2 chords, going back and forth? Or maybe even 8 chords, that's sort of the longest chord loop, which might traverse quite a distance before it repeats. Specifically, it's important to listen how the chord loops change between sections. Did you hear a section, for example, maybe start with a 2-chord loop in the verse, and then broaden out to a 4-chord loop with a quicker rate of change in the chorus? Alright, and then you might listen out for chromatic chords. These are chords that sound more outside of the key or scale that's been established. They're more expressive and adventurous. So those chords that I just played were all within this key. All within that scale. But you might hear some chords that seem like they're outside of that, like this one. You might hear... that little sort of lift, the sounded just like something was a little more prickly, like it sort of stuck out of the key. Or how about this one? That little creates a chromatic inflection that sounds more expressive, more emotional, because it's from outside of the scale. So your ears might pick some of those up along the way. Now it's important to mention that the first chord in the chord loop is usually heard as central to the section's mood. So here we have to talk about the difference between major chords, which sound brighter and happier, and minor chords, sound darker and more melancholy. Now out of those 4 chords I played earlier, 1, 4, 5, and 6 minor, which one of those sounds different? Well, it's the minor 6, the minor chord, and they give sort of a tonal contrast from the rest of the happy-go-lucky major chords. So when you're listening, I don't expect you to identify the number of the chord that you're hearing, or even necessarily the quality, but hear how the changes in the first chord, the one that's emphasized as central to the section, as well as the harmonic rhythm, affect the feel of each section. So let's give this example. First, a 2-chord loop between 1 and 4 in the verse. Alright, so it's pretty stable, just changing between 2 chords. Let's try to see what happens if we change during the pre-chorus. Now you have 6 minor, 4, 1. 6 minor, 4, 1 in a 3-chord progression. One more time. And then see what happens during the chorus if we go to a 4-chord progression. Faster rate of change, and yet a different feel for the first chord. Now the main thing I wanted to point out here in terms of the quality of the chord is that the pre-chorus sounded darker and more minor because the 6 minor chord was placed first, was more central.